and joy I see, because you come to me. Because you speak to me in accent sweet, I find the roses waking round my feet, and I am led through tears and joy to thee, because you speak to me. Because God made thee mine, I'll cherish thee through light and darkness, through all time to be, and pray His love may make our love divine. Because God made thee mine.
Good evening, my beloved. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I come as the representative of the third ray, and I am sent, for many angels and councils of light have said, "Go, beloved Paul, and teach the members of our bands who must draw the line physically, the meaning of thy office and thy love. This evening I come, and I come also to salute a certain disciple of mine. I come then to bring the eternal antidote for fear and for terror that begets terrorism as an organ or organization of fear, if that were possible. Terrorism, you see, is an ideology as well as a collective of individuals who have not the internal integration of love. Therefore, I consider the word organization questionable in their regard. But the bonds that bind them are not the bonds of love. They are cords of fear and hatred. And thus, there is a tight bond wherever there is hatred, and this you also understand. While the world contemplates its fears, arranges itself around and in and under its fears. Long ago the word was spoken, perfect love casts out fear. Love is an all-consuming fire that does dispel all that fears. For fear is based on the fear to be, the fear of existence, the fear of taking a single step in life, and the distorted preference not to be, rather than face the challenge of living itself. Beloved hearts, I will tell you why men's hearts fail them for fear, and why fear prevents action when it comes to the consideration of absolute evil, as you have been discussing this evening. Consider then that only the love of Christ can beget the courage to challenge Antichrist. When you hold your beloved child in your arms, the gift of God to you, your love is so great that you are also ready to address that which attacks the child, whether as disease or a villain or an accident, or anything that would limit the development of that child. You have seen some parents, however, who have not contained this love and therefore have not had the pure regard for their children. They have not loved enough to be willing to face that which is directed against that child. And therefore the children go unprotected. They suffer loss and serious setbacks in life. Caring enough, therefore, caring ultimately as the perfect love of Christ, must become the sign and the mark of true leadership. The leaders of nations who love the Christ in their people become the true shepherds who lay down their life for their people, laying it down not in death, but the living sacrifice of service, of penetration and probing, and going after that which threatens the community, the national security, and the internalization of the word by every citizen. I am Paul the Venetian. I paint on canvas, on the ethers. I etch in crystal, I sculpt, I mold the clay. I fashion all things physical and many substances not known to you in the higher octaves. To what purpose? To the purpose of showing forth an ever more revealing and exquisite image of the Christ appearing in children, in people from every walk of life. I remember when Norman Rockwell came to me at inner levels to study in my etheric retreat. And I remember as I counseled him to show the Christ in the American people, in everyday scenes of humor, humility, wonder, togetherness, heroism. And all these have been treasured, remembered, and valued highly, because something of the spirit of the Christ image that has become an image of America came through his work. A unique artist, one devoted to the inherent qualities and identity of the individual. As his perception of the Christ was, so was his painting, the capturing of unique moments. You might examine that work to find in each painting what is the glimmer, however great or faint, of some aspect of the individual reaching for the higher self. Is it any wonder that we deplore the chaotic and abstract art that has no point of unity? It also portrays a certain barrenness and absence of that point of light in the individual. One can see anarchy by an absence of dimension, an absence of harmony or focalization in modern art. Modern art enters the subconscious, whether the artist is influenced by marijuana or other substances. Art portrayed in fabric design, wall coverings, clothing, style, becomes a matrix, capable or incapable of carrying some measure of Christly proportion. When the people's art and sense of art flounders, then the images of Christ recede. It is rare to find a work of art that has come from the etheric octave in this period. Understand, it is also rare to find the higher consciousness of the etheric octave. Where will your leaders learn to deal with the invaders of the minds of the nations? They will learn from the etheric schoolrooms and cities and retreats. How will they get there if they do not contain the crystal that becomes the magnet and a star to follow when the soul goes forth from the body in the hours of sleep? Unless angels and devotees of light accompany them, they will have no new idea, no means of resolution. Without internal harmony, that is the direct child of perfect love, there is no resolution to international terror or the threat of nuclear war. And while abortion itself seems to me the supreme act of anti-art, it does beget the callousness that year by year has a lessening sensitivity to the art of angels and the art of God that fashioned the perfect image out of which you were sculpted in clay. Thus, beloved ones, it is necessary in the very midst of the most tense international circumstances to retreat into the contemplation of the divine beauty and the music of the spheres, to remember that the building blocks of creation are sound, and that sound forms a pattern that is a divine harmony, and that this divine harmony can be portrayed in architecture, in life, in everyday utensils such as pottery. The things you use and you surround yourself with become a focus for the flow of attention. Art is not a subject so often dwelt upon in our discourses, for there are such pressing needs of the hour for the victory for Saint Germain. I bring my ingredient of love in this hour as an offering to the Christ child, to the one and the beloved whom I have so longed to paint in the ultimate sense, and have done so to the best of my ability in the etheric octave. Let us realize then that as love wanes in the earth, so crime increases, death becomes more frightening and terrible, cancer itself is evidence of an absence of focalization upon the divine geometry of the internal crystal of the soul and of every living cell. When children can pour their light into a cup of beauty and the dimensions of mathematics portrayed, the very dimensions themselves, then impressed upon the cells, prevent the aberrations, such as a manifestation of cancer or the vulnerability to the attack of the virus. Geometry is a science explained by Pythagoras and demonstrated by him. It is the science of God, and its formulas are illustrative of the fact of the very energy of life that can be focused in the angle, in the pyramid, in the octagon, in the cell structure that is also geometric. Form itself, designed by God, is a protection for the eternal flame. Even the form you wear has a design of the star-fire body intended to be, geometrically speaking, the ultimate protection for the soul. The geometry of the chakras and the beauty of the unfolding of the flower becomes a model of contemplation that ought to be considered when designing the physical temple. The poem that is lovely as a tree, reflected in these evergreens high in the Himalayas and in the Rocky Mountains of the north, presents an exquisite design that also has a formula whereby life is enhanced and the sacred energies of nature are released. Even the starry bodies and the rays that come to earth to stimulate the very growth of the hairs on your head are eternally and perfectly designed. Thus beauty and mathematics, proportion, and the golden ratio serve to enhance the message of the word itself. Thus we sought and ever seek in our retreat to bring to life the ancient records of Akasha, of the great souls who have ensouled a living flame. We study the geometry of virtue as it can be seen in the etheric plane. We study the dimensions of the aura and how the vibrations of light and their harmony enable the individual to carry greater and greater light. We would transfer to our teachers in our schools here some understanding of the necessity for grace and line and movement, which brings us to the subject, whether of yoga or ballet or the dance or marching, of the natural grace of the soul that ought to be expressed in the body form, for the release of Fohat, for the release of the sacred fire breath. Patterns of sound and music, outpictured, become the means for the opening of the heart chakra, the lessening of tension, and therefore the increase of love and appreciation for life. We come back then to the purpose of art, to enhance the love of Christ always. The shepherds of the people who contain that pure love will neither lead them astray nor abandon the people in the hour of tragedy or danger. Thus, when there is the loss of Christ, of the divine spark and the light of the soul, all else suffers, and art is no longer true. And there is a violation and abuse of science, that which can never lie is mathematics itself. People may attempt to fool one another by the manipulation of statistics, but number itself cannot be denied. And the number one as the law of the one comes back to the central point of love, the great central sun. Grave manipulations of genetics have occurred to destroy the divine art of Elohim in the mind of the offspring of God. This process toward limitation, control, and enslavery has been to the end to reduce the children of light to a capacity less than necessary to contain that quotient of love which the ascension process demands. Thus he admonished, love one another as I have loved you. In the way that I love as Christ, so love one another. The heart of the message of Christ is love, of every true prophet and avatar. How is it then reduced by mortals to hatred? How have they lost the vision and accepted Antichrist in the place of the figure serene upon the hillsides of the world? Through a process of self-denial, if I may venture an observation. The self-denial of God within. We understand, of course, the anatomy of evil as pertains to the fallen angels, but it is difficult to discover how any fallen angel could convince a child of God to deny that God flame within. Obviously, it could not come about directly, but only with great subtlety and confusion, role reversal, and the conviction that black is white and white is black. I ask you to pray for the disciples of the 7 Chohans who are now disciples actively pursuing the path, which means to pray for yourselves and all upon earth who by the virtue of their devotion, which is love, to an art or a field of endeavor, have actually created and compelled the tie to the hearts of the 7 Chohans. I ask you to release to the world the dictations of the 7 Chohans, that these might bring to the world an understanding of a path that can be followed. We are so very close to the lovers of Christ and of Buddha, the lovers of Krishna and the great law of Moses. We are close to all who love, for the true lovers of God are the true disciples of the Logos. These individuals, as yourselves, need encouragement, need more love, need to feel the warmth of being at home in a cosmos, even on a cold winter's night. Blessed ones, let us fan the fire of hope and let love be without dissimulation. With all intense love, let us go after those who have the quality to be the vessel, to understand the meaning of the true self as the Holy Grail, who love enough not only to seek the Grail, but to become it, to fill it with light and then to become the light. It will take a great deal of love to fulfill the mandate of God, who has said, I have decided to save the earth. It will take many decisions of many candles on earth, and a love that some have not yet known. I have come in gratitude and in joy for the Christ Mass and all beauty that has been sent forth from your souls in this year. beauty as deeds of love, beauty as love in every form, love as an art when you do not consider yourselves to be artists or to have time to perfect a skill. The art of service is a great art. Unbeknownst to you, you are creating an eternal mural of service. And angel artists paint a mural, I will tell you not where, showing the episodes of this community of light bearers and the day-to-day overcomings. Many preparations are being made for your homecoming and your rejoicing at last to understand all that has transpired at all levels. These are master artists who have determined that the sons of the best of men should not go down unrecorded in the murals of heaven, but should indeed rise up and in their own victory perceive that victory as a lesson to those who will one day be the students of the art which they have lived. For you are living artists of a living art. Whether you are repairing automobiles or machinery, whether you prepare the food or keep the records with the keepers of the scrolls, every act is a work of art. Every act is released from your soul as a release of energy which forms an engram of light, impressing upon the etheric octave geometric snowflake forms, roses and violets, or unfortunately, when done without grace or love, jagged forms of modern art which you would decry in a museum, yet, alas, also manifest in the lower levels of the aura as work done without grace and joy and freedom. Service in life without freedom creates a record of art that is gray and dissonant. This is why even those who produce films always see a dim light as being present in communist countries. Films about the Soviet Union or Eastern Europe seem to have that quality of absence of light, absence of dimension and even reality. It is the weight of oppression of the people who in their service are missing the seventh ray as a part of that artwork. Believe me, beloved hearts, much grace proceeds from the most humble of servants. Therefore, you can realize that every movement in life, every thought and feeling is producing on the ethers either a magnificent design of virtue or something less, which by the grace of God is also erased as you invoke the violet flame. Being co-creators with God, you therefore show all too quickly in the area surrounding you what is the nature of your work. These signs are read by elemental life and the angels. And there are crowds of angels around some, and a total absence around the Scrooge characters portrayed on a yearly basis. Thus, entertaining angels unawares is no mere entertainment, for these become a part of a personal battalion, even as elementals enter formation, following the very points of light of the divine geometry of the flow of light in your aura. Thus all of heaven bears witness to the auric emanations of the servants of God. Obviously, therefore, those who are the devotees of the Chohans can be known around the world by the light of the aura and the harmony of the artwork which their daily service is creating. I ask then that you might be comforted in the embrace of love this night, and that the love of God through the divine art, outpictured in all of nature and all of cosmos, might come for an inner realization of your soul as to the true mystery of love in the innermost parts of your being. Love is the cohesive force that enables you to be who and what you are, the heart to beat, and all systems to be functioning. What ordains it? What maintains it? What seals you as a separate consciousness, now able to hear my word and to follow the word into the vastness of your own eternal self? It is love, universal love everywhere. May you capture it, cradle it, know it, follow it. May love be the determining factor of your decisions, not fear. May love dissolve the hatred of the enemy, the enemies of the light and of America. May love be such a force of the ruby ray that all assignments may be fulfilled, and not one child of light on earth be found wanting the true message of the path of Christhood. I come to sponsor the dissemination of the word, and in the name of Maitreya, I draw the solar ring around the publications of the Summit Lighthouse, those in print, those about to be in print, those in etheric octaves waiting to be released. I call forth the tube of light and the mighty pillars of Alpha and Omega, Elohim of God, Helios and Vesta, the God and Goddess Meru and the messengers of the sun, and all others who support this endeavor, most especially my comrades serving with me in the offices of the Chohans and all capable assistants in our departments, as well as the world teachers who are so intent in contacting their own. I, Paul, here with you in this hour, now extend to you from my heart and from the heart of the threefold flame anchored in the Washington Monument an increase of the love plume, an acceleration of the heart chakra, love for the balance of wisdom and power, love for an understanding of the goal of thy life perfectly fulfilled, love for the dissolving now of ignorance and density that prevents thy perfect expression of the Christ image. Blessed be you. Blessed be you in light and in victory and in oneness and in the self-expression of the magnificent God-free being that you are. Blessed be your heart. Blessed be your threefold flame. Blessed be your love forever as God's love. With the sign of the cross of the ruby ray, I place my magnet in this heart to draw by love, loving hearts of the universal one for the victory of our mission. I will see you in the heart of the inner retreat, and in the heart of Helios, for I am there, keeping the flame of the divine art, of evolutions, civilizations, a Christic path of initiation, and of worlds unborn. I am grateful for your holy offering of love in this hour.